All right. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to have as my guest Jing Johnson from Prism Renderings. Hi, Jing.
Hi, Angela. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Let me
Well,
get
I
you my name.
I love your career path story and how you got from the work you were doing early in your career to having your own business. So, can you share a little bit of that background with the audience?
Of course. So I grew up in a family with both parents are structural engineers. And so that's all I knew about architecture, building industry. So my brother and I naturally chose that a career as an architect. When we need to pick a major for college, and that's what we did. I got my bachelor and master degrees in China in architecture, and worked there for a couple of years. And I decided to move here. I can see myself, I was comfortable. I knew what my life or career looked like in down the, a few years down the road. I feel I need something more adventurous. So I decided to come here, get my master degrees in Houston, Texas. After I graduated, I worked in a couple of architecture firms. And 2005, I had two little ones, two boys, 5 and 8 years old. And I was struggling with my career and motherhood. So I decided to just start my own business. Actually went back to school, get my MBA because I had no business background or training. And that's the beginning of my journey as a business owner.
Yeah, I love that you were able to say, I have a certain amount of success, but I'm not really on the path I want to be on. What skills do I need? And oh, an MBA would be a big benefit. And not many people would be willing to embrace going in a new direction. So what insights do you have about why that was the right thing to do and what went into making that decision?
That's a great question. I was at the time when I was at the architecture firm, working mostly in the commercial, production, construction documents, uh, kind of work. I can do the work, but I'm the people person. I love to talk to people and just it was not just hiding behind the computer. It was not me. I'm not like super happy about where my career is going. But at the same time, we had a client, potential client, approach our firm as a medium-sized firm in Houston, from China. And they're trying to build a hospital, private hospital in China, and they are looking for a U.S. Architecture firm to design their buildings. And they are about to sign a contract with another firm. Somehow they were introduced to our firm. I don't know what the owner saw in me because I was not the only person speak Chinese in that firm. But somehow he saw something in me. He said, "Well, Jean, why don't you talk to them?" And that was the beginning of the whole thing get started. I hold her hand, basically explain about what contract is about, all the proposal, because they are in the tech sector. They have never built a hospital. They've never in the architecture, never used the architecture service before. So they didn't know what they are signing, they're about to sign. So I was trying to explain to her, what does it involve, what the whole scope involved. And she just trusts me so much that she decided to go with our team. So that's the beginning of later on 8 projects with that client. And that really made me, I feel alive basically, I feel so I add so much value to the process, and I am happy that she can connect with me. She feel that she can trust me that with this big assignment. So that's how I feel even now with my business. I always feel so energetic by talking to business owners, design principals, or developers, find out their need and find a solution that fit their needs. It's just most fulfilling, awarding experience to me, much better than I'm just hiding behind the computer doing my construction documents.
Yeah,
So
and I love what you said about the meaning, finding meaning in what you do, because so often people feel like, well, you got to take the good with the bad, and nothing's ever perfect. So you just have to kind of suck it up and do what you're quote unquote supposed to do,
mhm.
versus you really had an opportunity to have an experience with a client that opened your eyes to what you love about what you do,
Yeah,
and
I'm very
then to do
grateful
more.
that. Yeah, I was so grateful for that opportunity to, find out my passion, my purpose.
So, for other people who are just kind of right now checking the boxes, right? They're doing
Yeah.
what they think they're supposed to do, and maybe they're competent at it and it's good enough. What tips would you give them to help them really connect with their true passion?
Wow, that's a hard question. I think in architecture, world, it's difficult because we went through school much harder than other major or career choice, and I think people put so much effort in their degree and just go through that difficult journey and feel like they can never give up, because that's what it's supposed to be, because I pay my dues or I did all the hard work, I need to stay in this profession, and which is not true. There's so many other choices out there now, especially nowadays. I started my business 17 years ago, but now there's so many more resources out there, like your podcast, your training program that can help people realize, wait a minute, I can sit back and just look at my options. This is not only options. Or maybe it is. Maybe after all your research and soul searching, you find this is your true passion. You want to stay there, which is great. But before you make that lifetime decision, why don't you look at other options and see what's out there?
Yeah, yeah, be fearless about saying, do I really want to do this? I think so often people play it safe, and that actually works to their disadvantage.
Yeah, and also just open up to talk to more people. I recently talked to a client of mine who works for a developer client. She is in their design, architecture, design managing manager position. She used to work for a big firm, very well-known firm. I ask her, I'm always curious about how people choose their journey, how they land where they are in. And so I asked her that question. I said, why that was a really good firm, and looks like you are on the trajectory, in a good promotion, could be potential career development, and why you changed to work for a developer. And what she told me shocked me, because I always thought highly of that firm. She said, well, I was just, one day I was thinking about my career development. I was looking at all my supervisor, the associate principal or principal, everybody is miserable. And I was like, really? She said, I don't want to be there. Why 10 years from now on, I don't want to be like that. I want to find something different. And now I have I'm in a position I can make a decision. I can help my boss to make a better decision because of my architecture background. She's a registered architect. She's very happy with where she is now. So it's just like there's a lot of choices out there. Architecture firm is the only one of the choices.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I think often a lot of people buy into success looking a certain way. And they might have a role model they're following or some famous architect, and that's what they think it looks like. But success is really about living your purpose. And as long as you're doing that, you're successful. But if you're not, then you are miserable. And there's a big myth out there that you have to work really, really, really hard to be successful. And I think a lot of people are already feeling overtaxed and they're like, I just don't have the capacity. Why would I want to play in the big leagues? How could I be doing world-changing work? It's exhausting. I don't want that. There's no quality of life in that.
Yeah. I mean, it could be from outside, you look very successful in your position or title, but inside, if it's you have to sacrifice your purpose, your happiness, that's not the way it's supposed to be, right? Yeah, it is very, very interesting. And I also think architecture is such a, special profession, and all the trainings you have and all the experience you have, we're problem solvers, right? So even you are not in a practice architecture, you go to a different industry or different position, you can still use all that skills or the thought process and all the knowledge and skill set you have acquired from from the school to where you work. You can still carry that to a different industry. You could be very innovative. The same thing you are doing in architecture, everybody does the same thing, but if you go to a different industry, it might be innovation, for another industry. So I just think, there's so many possibilities out there. Don't restrict yourself to just one.
Yeah, that there definitely are alternative career paths. And when you're living your purpose, it doesn't feel like work. It's fun and it
Yes.
gives you energy. So that's the litmus test when I work with a coaching client. It's, do you feel like your work depletes your energy or gives you energy? And that's
It's a
how
big
you know.
difference. Yeah.
That's how you know.
Yeah. Yes.
So you have been a really big advocate for women in the architecture profession and related professions. What made you really take on this advocacy role?
It's from my own story. As I said, I started this business because so I can have that balanced work and life, schedule. I had, projects going on every day, but I have my boys, all their, school and the extra curriculum, activities. I can just have that flexibility to schedule, whatever, direction pull me. And so I feel I was just freed, from that, have to sit somewhere 8 to 5 every day and not be able to take care of, both things at the same time. So that's how I feel this business really gave me that opportunity to have fulfillment for both, right? In life and in my career. So when I start to grow my business, hiring my employees, my team members, I thought about, so my first two, they are with me for 8 years now, over 8 years. The first two employees, they are both moms, and I got to know about them, from my just inner circle, and I offer that position to them. And in the meantime, I realized, wait a minute, I can use this business as a vehicle to help other working moms doing the same that benefit me, it can also benefit them. So that become my mission. Now my boys are all, grown out of college. My passion is to helping more younger moms do the same thing as I did.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to go a little deeper with this whole mother
Okay.
thing because I can tell you from my own experience, I was a total perfectionist. And I remember when I had my daughter, like I had to make the perfect birth announcements and I had to make them. I couldn't go buy them, right? And I think there's a lot of this perfectionism baked
Mm-hmm.
into our industry.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute you got other things to do, you start to have to shift your priorities. And since a lot of family management as well as childcare often falls to women, women have gotten really good at multitasking, but also being able to decide when something's good enough or prioritizing. And I think that gives them a very different perspective as leaders.
Yes, I totally agree about that. I just think women, that's why I think my team is like rock star team, because they are naturally a good manager because they have to manage their household and they have managed, their our clients and projects. They are just really good at what they do. I think working mom is such a key contributor of our workspace.
Yeah, and I think in the world today, we're starting to really value soft skills in a way that we never did in the past. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of what we're talking about here are those soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
So, in particular, what are you looking for in someone who you see to have potential to be a good worker, to be a good leader?
For me, it's integrity first, and just have that integrity and the personal value needs to align with our culture. We have our core value. That's how we look at the candidates and see if there's a good fit to our culture. And our culture is also very collaborative, friendly, and supportive. That's very important for us because every day we might get a sick kid, we'll just go, take care of your kids. There's another team member step up, just fulfill that role. It's so, I mean, we have a virtual team because we all work from home office, but we're a very close team. We support each other and always just thinking about the bigger picture, how we can serve our clients better. It doesn't matter, even it's not my role to do this, but if I can pick up the ball when my teammates out with a sick kid, that's a win for everybody. So it's very important to be able to fit us our cultural really well.
Yeah, that whole shift from competition to collaboration. And I think some people still struggle with that. They still are in the comparison trap of where am I based on where other people are. So, what advice do you have to help people get out of comparing and feel more safe about collaborating?
Well, I do have a couple of in the past, a couple of team members had that mindset coming working in traditional architecture firms. It just have that more like a me about me, not about us kind of a mentality. I think over time they change too. They watch other team members. I always trying to be a good role model to my team. They're watching me how I do, not what I say, what I do every day, right? For years you can say something really fancy or sounds good, but if you don't act on it, it's not going to make any difference. So you have, as a leader, you have to model the right behavior. And then I always give shout out to the team members who does act out of our core values. We actually now we have a team, we always have weekly team meetings. So at the beginning of the meeting, we always have that attitude of gratitude. We give each other a shout out, a team member or a client about, a certain event that they act out of our, core value, a specific core value. So we talk about, we are not just have a, core value on the wall. We really live out of it every day.
Yeah, that's so important. It goes right back to the integrity, which was
Yeah.
foundational when you started your business, that there
Wow.
be that walk the talk.
Yeah. And also I think trust, I'm very cautious when I start hiring my team members. I feel, so for me, I'm great. So first of all, I'm very grateful they join me. They can have so many other choices, but they decide to join me. I feel responsible for their, their job, not just a job, but career development, personal development. So I put a lot of effort on that. You need to trust them first, and you don't just wait for them to earn their trust. You have to trust first, and also, whenever there's something not going well, with a client, with a difficult client, you need to go, just work with them. You don't just abandon them or throw them under the bus. You need to stand out, take the responsibility as a leader, and help them work through, the whole situation. That's much more important than, it's, when things going well, everybody, is happy, trust each other. But when things not going well, that's when you have an opportunity to earn that real trust. That's
Yeah,
how.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
That is so important because failure is where we learn, yet so many of us are afraid to fail. So I love
Mhm.
that you are creating that psychological safety for the people that work with you, and even sharing stories and empathizing, like, yeah, this client will insult you. They'll tell you something is stupid, but don't take it personally.
Right,
That
right.
can make a world of difference because I think we're all, I've said this before, we work in systemic codependency in the AEC industry. So
Right.
our first reaction is to blame ourselves and go right to anger, guilt, or shame as a response, so that you are addressing that before something happens and talking about it post meeting. That
Mhm.
really helps someone to regulate their response to a difficult client.
Yes, I mean, I have to learn that over the years myself. When I made a mistake, you feel ashamed. You don't feel good about yourself. You're trying to hide it or trying to, you know, it's just a lot of unhealthy, feelings going on. But as a leader, you have to learn and be better so you can show that, it's okay. I mean, we are not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but some things will happen. There's things that are out of our control. Their clients are difficult to work with, but there's a way. There's always a way. When we are authentic, we show that we do care about their projects. We want to be the problem solver for their project, whatever that specific situation. And people generally are, pretty understanding, and they will work with you. But if you want to hide, and that's not going to be pretty. It's going to be, worse. So just work through. We have a couple of team members can be a little harder, to get over that hump, but after work with them through a couple of situations, they are much better. They feel better about, they are much more open. When things not going well, they will tell you, and then we all share our experience, and we give them each other, suggestions, advice, and just work through it. And interestingly, some of those clients, after you work through, they actually trust you even more than the typical, clients. Everything goes well, and so it gives us a confidence, give our team member confidence. Okay, so something happened, like next time, I can handle it.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that because it's refreshing to a client when you actually hold your ground. They hired you to be an expert. And when you act like a waitress instead, they don't always respect you.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Very true.
And I think women especially struggle with wanting the approval versus being authentic and being honest.
Yeah.
So, what have you kind of learned over the years that you like to pass on about that?
Well, I think let me think about this is a hard question. I think being a business owner is such a humbling experience. It's really I have to push myself out of my comfort zone to handle those situations. But over the years, after I worked through, a few difficult situations with those clients, and I just feel, I rather be open because we are people pleasers. We are women. We really truly care about our clients, their projects. And when things not going as smooth as we expected, or especially the factors out of our control, I think it's just be open, communicate well. It serves us much better than avoid that difficult conversation and trying to just brush through, or under the rug, just it's you are actually more under the stress doing that situation. But once you open up and you give clients, this is the situation, we understand this is not ideal situation, but we come up with certain options or solutions, and just be open, just show them you're willing to get everything resolved and trying to help them get their ideal outcome. And I just feel everybody, at least we work with, have be much more understanding, and they work with us. So I think it's just work through those situations, because but the most of the time we always go back to our clients, get our post project feedback, and for the most time we always got a glowing feedback, and clients is really appreciative and very professional, appreciative. So whenever we have that not so there's a constructive feedback, and not really bad, but for us it's like, wow, that's pretty, that's opportunity for us to look at our process and our solutions. Maybe it's something we can, and we take that very seriously. We have internal discussion, we figured out options and resolutions, and we get back to the client, show them our plan in the future. And it's always much better after that. So it's just work through those situations one by one.
Yeah, yeah. And it's great that you are taking your staff along, because we were talking earlier about we reach for the highest branch we can see. So when someone models to us what's possible, we realize we have choices. So many people just try to imitate someone else who they see as successful because they think that's what it looks like. And so the more we can show that there are multiple paths to success, the more someone can identify with the path that works for them.
Yes. Sometimes you gain the confidence from your personal journey, personal experience. Sometimes you can gain confidence from others experience, and you learn from it. And so we as a team, we just learn from each other, learn together through those situations.
Yeah, and I think that's so helpful. So I was talking earlier on a link on a Instagram live about the difference between leadership, mentoring, managing, and coaching. And all 4 of those are important. But I think what a lot of people often use these terms interchangeably, but leadership looks like helping people to see more clearly, modeling things,
Yeah.
blazing the trail for them.
Right.
And I just really love that you've been out there and willing to do it, willing to leave the profession and do something different, willing to say, I value what women bring and I want to build a practice around those issues, willing to stand up to clients and help them understand the issues more clearly than you ever could if you were just a sycophant saying yes to whatever they ask for.
Yeah. And I think when after I work with in several architecture firms, I was fortunate. I feel like those are great firms. I learned a lot, but I also learned a lot what not to do. So I think as a business owner, it's such a great opportunity to create the culture that you want to be in. And so it's just a opportunity just to just capture your own core value and trying to carry on to the entire team, so everybody feel they are appreciated, they are encouraged, they are supported in this team. I feel like we have this distinctive culture that I've never been in. Our team members said the same thing. They work in other companies, and this is the company they feel really supported and have their trying to help them to reach their full potential. So yeah, I'm just really, for me, it's just getting up every day, work with this amazing woman. It's such a honor, and also a huge responsibility as a leader.
Yeah, yeah, it really is a win-win when you can set
It is,
that
yeah.
up. So
Yeah.
what last question, what advice would you give to someone who is listening to this and saying, "Yes, I love what I'm hearing, but I don't know what my next step should be. How do I find the mentor I need? How do I figure out what resonates with me?"
Well, they can go to you, I think. You are such a example, shining example in our industry that can be very, just honest, have offer that honest guidance. And I've listened to some of your episodes. It's just pretty amazing that and your clarity about the profession, about how to balance life and work, and find somebody like yourself to be the mentor, be the coach, walk through this journey. And I'll be happy if somebody, a working mom, wants to just share their experience, want to talk to me. I'll be happy to talk to your audience as well. But in the meantime, find out, just sitting back and thinking about your career goal and your lifetime in life, your goals in life. What's the best path you can fulfill in both? There's so many ways, and I am such an active reader and a podcast listener, and always trying to learn and from other people's experiences. So I encourage everybody to do the same. And it's just a lot of possibilities out there, and everybody has a potential to to fulfill, to reach their get their purpose and their skill set in the same path.
Well, thank you so much for those beautiful inspirational words and your tremendous compliments. We all love what you're doing. You really are a bright light out there. How can people reach you if they want to learn more or maybe hire you for your services?
Well, so I'm very active on LinkedIn. So Jing Johnson, I think you probably you will have show note of my name. My company's name is Prism Renderings, and so I also have my contact information over there. I'll be happy to talk to anyone who, about the work or our service and anything in between.
Well, great. Thank you so much. And everyone, if you really enjoyed what Jing had to say, go ahead and post about it on LinkedIn and tag her. I know she would really appreciate hearing your feedback on all of this. This was really inspirational, and you gave us so many just gold nuggets here about what it means to follow your own path, what it means to hold steady in your integrity, even when it's hard, and why we don't have to be afraid of the things that feel hard to do.
Yes. Once you work through it, you will be you feel so much better about your choices and your career.
Yeah, and it always works out for the best. I think that's
yes.
the
Yes.
important lesson.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was just wonderful to have you as a guest, and I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thank you, Angela. Me too.